Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have with me Ibrahim, a professional MMA fighter, but also a friend from high school.
All right.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, man. Not
It's
bad.
been a minute,
Very
right?
good. Yeah, it's been a long time.
So, we actually haven't had a proper conversation since high school. We've kind of kept in touch, but really, it's been from a distance.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I've seen what you've been doing. It's been great, and we have mutual friends. And today, I'm going to ask you about that because, first and foremost, why MMA?
Yeah, I guess it's something that I've always kind of had an interest in. I've always done a little bit of training of sorts, and I guess it's the epitome, right? It's the closest thing to real application of practice. If I was to do like boxing or kickboxing or just grappling, I'd never get a true read on how things would work in a true free environment. So I guess it's the closest you can get without becoming a barbarian and fighting on the street.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you mainly do jiu-jitsu.
So I did do jiu-jitsu exclusively for 2 or 3 years before I started doing MMA.
Right.
So that's kind of it does make up a good chunk of what I've practiced. But for the last 2 and a bit years now, I've been dedicated to specifically MMA. I've not done anything else. So
Okay.
I've not worn a gi in a long time now.
Okay, why is that? What part of your game changed to make you think you want to deviate from jiu-jitsu a bit?
So like when you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the gi, it's very specific to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the gi. So like you'll get really good at it, and some of those skills are transferable, and some of those skills are specific. So if I spent all my time drilling just jits, I would end up putting myself like pigeonholing myself, and I wouldn't have all the skills required, especially not striking or wrestling. I would have great grappling, but then within that grappling, I would only be a specialist in the gi. So like there's certain chokes you can do where you literally grab the jacket that people wear, and obviously in MMA you're not wearing a jacket full stop. So a lot of those techniques are just impossible to recreate.
So if we to go back a bit, I remember you did fighting sports in high school as well. So it was always kind of a part of you. Is
Yeah.
it fair to say you were a bit aggressive as well, generally speaking?
I think that's a good read. I think that's a good
It's
read.
fine.
Yeah. I think that's a fair read. Everyone expresses themselves differently.
No,
You know?
I remember.
And that's something that I overcame with time and through practice, right? Like through practice more. I feel a big development for me was making a sport of it, and then that aggression then is no longer a behavior that's a negative one, right? There's this place for it to be expressed, and that allows me to kind of separate it from day-to-day behavior. Like
Okay.
day-to-day, I don't exhibit those behaviors because those are specific for sport.
So you have a better outlet. So essentially, like you said, everyone applies themselves differently. So that aggression or whatever it is that you had, when it has nowhere to go, it comes out in random spurs
Yeah,
throughout the day.
yeah.
Whereas when you learn to discipline yourself and apply it in the gym, then you're right. It takes away, no longer is a part of your personality, but more a discipline. Do you think, because this is a debate that I saw on mainstream, it's actually a bit of a tangent of what I wanted to say to you, but it's an important question. Do fighting sports encourage or discourage fighting? Not practically because you're fighting,
Yeah.
but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. We mean in
Like
young adults.
outside of
Yeah.
competition. I really don't think that they do. I really think that if you train in a fighting sport, your chances of fighting outside of that sport drop. I don't know if there's any research on it to back up my claim, but just off of how I feel, based off of my own experience, I felt more secure in myself. I felt more comfortable in my own skin. I felt less likely that I had to prove myself to people. So I didn't really feel like I needed to fight. And even like now, if I come to conflict with someone, I feel like the confidence and surety you have in yourself defers any kind of chance of you fighting, because you're so sure of yourself and what you're saying and how you are, that the person who's like angry and agitated, they're not going to feel comfortable to fight you because you're not angry and agitated with them. Seeing from myself, like I've got 2 little ones. They never say that they wanna fight, or they don't really hit. Obviously, they do hit in aggression, because I think that's just a natural behavior. But when they come up to me and they want to do, like, they call it training, they don't call it fighting. They can, like, from that young, can see that distinction.
No, that is really interesting because you're setting a different example for your children. Whereas some parents would say we're play fighting, but because they see you, they know you're in the ring, right?
Yeah, they watch
How,
my
how old are your
fights.
kids?
I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Okay, you let a 2-year-old watch as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that different.
He'll
I guess
be-
if the 4-year-old can watch,
He's
so can
nearly
the
3.
2-year-old.
He's nearly 3. He's nearly 3. He's nearly 3. But they used to come to my jiu-jitsu tournaments before I started fighting. They don't come to watch me live when I'm in preparation. I kind of prefer to be on my own a bit, or just around my coaches. I don't really want to be around things unrelated to what I'm there to do. But they watch at home. Yeah, exactly. It's just a distraction. I want to stay quite single-minded and focused.
You were recently in the United Arab Emirates for a tournament, weren't you?
Yeah.
Was that a specifically Arab tournament?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So UAE Warriors, they're someone that I've just signed a contract to fight with them again. July 3rd.
That's your next fight.
That's my next fight. 5
And he'll
weeks.
be 3-0, guys, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. We'll keep the train rolling. I fought with them on their Arabia show, and I'm going to fight again on their Arabia show. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to showcase Arab talent.
Right.
It's a really great opportunity because as a newly turned professional fighter, the opportunities are quite few and far between, really, for that kind of experience. Like, they fly you out, they give you like a hotel, they take you to like the top arena in the country. Like, we fight on Yas Island where the UFC holds their events, and it's just a really great opportunity for me to kind of see what it's like to fight at the highest level, and I feel like it's just a good preparation for me.
So I have a very specific question to ask you. Growing up in a Middle Eastern household, you're Libyan, you're North African.
Yeah.
What were the challenges to overcome in terms of saying, look, I want to now be a professional MMA fighter as opposed to something more educational?
Yeah. I made the transition after I was already kind of married. So, in a way...
So let's see the timeline, because like I said, I haven't seen you since high school, so we were like 16 at that time. You went to college, Savarian.
Yes, Loreto.
Loreto.
I went to Loreto for 2 years, and then I went to another college in Cheshire.
Okay.
For a year, and then I went to university.
Was that Cheadle?
Cheshire.
Oh, okay.
West Cheshire College it was called. And then I went to uni, but before I went to uni, I got married. So when I went to West Cheshire College, I met my wife, got married.
So in between there is when you're deciding to do MMA.
No.
And you're slowly realizing that education isn't the route you want to go down.
Well, not at that point. So I was being told to go to like a vocational route. I was being told to kind of go for a more practical set of skills where I can get money and make money from skills, which is kind of what I've gone back to. But I was kind of fixed on like academia. I want to do academics. I want to be an academic. I want to study at university, and then I went to university, and that didn't really work well for me.
Where did you go?
I went Salford Uni.
Okay, so you stayed local.
Uni, stayed local, stayed at home because I was married at this point, so I kind of needed to have like a support network.
I understand.
Because studying as well as like being newly married and trying to build a household is
I assume, just assuming out of the blue, your wife was also academic because you met her at college, so she went to uni as well, and
she completed uni at Salford. She was going to Salford as well.
After you,
she went on to complete uni. She started the same year as me. We started together, and she went through it, and I
no, everyone has a different path.
Exactly, yeah. She did nursing, so she's a mental health nurse. She's completely qualified now, alhamdulillah.
That's very interesting and proper smart, mashallah.
Yeah, no, I was. It was good to be able to support her through that.
Side note question: I'm just curious. Is she also Libyan?
No, Lebanese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's from Lebanon.
Cool.
So we got married, and then I studied for a year. After that year, I kind of wanted to go back to uni, but it wasn't really working for me. It wasn't a great decision to go back. And it wasn't really up to me, to be honest. If it was up to me, I probably would have went back. I probably would have tried to complete the 3 years. Because I wasn't doing well enough. So
they weren't allowing you to progress or resit the year?
They could let me resit the year. But I didn't want to resit a year. I wanted to just go on to second year. And my option was to resit the year. And I just chose to leave uni altogether. So I went on to do a job at Manchester Uni then. I wanted to go into research eventually. found a job where I could work as a researcher. So I worked at Manchester Uni as a researcher.
What field?
I was doing a course with them where they were going to help me get my degree, and I would go through each, like, I'd go on rotation.
Right, okay.
Around all these different labs, and I get a taste for each one. So every 3 months I would change lab that I was working in, and that was like a taste of what it was to be an academic. And during that time, I kind of settled into the role. I settled into where I was, and I had kids, and I remember seeing my son and watching like him look up to me, and kind of like from very, very young, before he's able to speak, he's already kind of copying things that I'm doing and like, imitating me.
Children are like sponges.
Yeah, totally.
They don't learn, they take in.
Yeah. And that made me really think a lot about what kind of example I'm setting. And that made me kind of really introspective. It made me think a lot about myself and why I was doing certain things. And it made me realize that I really enjoyed my job title. I really enjoyed bumping into people from high school, bumping into people from my past, and them asking what I'm up to, me saying to them, I'm a researcher at the University of Manchester. And the reality of it wasn't what it sounds like. The reality of it, I was on a course doing this and that. It was all right. It was good. It was a great opportunity, but it wasn't something I loved doing. It was like a title I could hide behind. And that kind of made me...
When did you realize that, though?
After having my son, because he was watching me, and that made me think more about myself. That made me think more about myself, like what am I actually doing? What kind of example am I setting? And it made me think about how I'm showing him that you should just go for the safe option. You should just go for what's safe and what looks good. And I feel like that kind of ties in with your question of growing up in like a Middle Eastern background or growing up in a Middle Eastern home. There's this kind of expectation for you to be like a doctor or a dentist. And if you're not a doctor or a dentist, you have to go for safe choices, right? Like
pharmacist, teacher, educational stuff.
Yeah.
The guaranteed job.
Exactly. And then COVID hit. So as I'm making these realizations, COVID's coming and everyone's gone into furlough, and like the world like shut down pretty much for like a year or a year and a half or something. Before COVID hit, like 2 or 3 months before that, I'd started training at a MMA gym, Manchester Top Team.
Top Team, where is that?
Just it's in Ashton. Okay. So I trained with Manchester Top Team for about 3-4 months, and then they asked me if I wanted to have my first amateur fight. This is before.
So they approached you.
COVID.
So the team at the gym approached you.
Well, I approached them to train there, and then as I'm training there, after a training session one day, one of the coaches, he's no longer with them, but he was with them at the time. He said to me, "Would you like to fight?" So I was like, "Yeah, I'll take a fight." Like my understanding of it was, if they're asking me, then obviously they think I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Right. So I trust you enough to teach me. So I should trust you enough to follow your opinion, right? Your opinion is that I'm good enough.
If someone's at top team, are they automatically put into fights, or did they choose you?
They'll ask you if you want to fight. I think the ultimate goal is to get everyone to fight, but most people won't want to.
They'll just train casually.
A lot of people don't want to fight.
Okay.
So I'll take this fight.
Yeah.
This is my amateur debut.
Where was it?
It was in Doncaster.
Doncaster.
So it was a bit of a drive. Went really well. Went really, really well. And we went into lockdown the day after.
Oh, mad.
I was convinced that my fight was going to get called off. I was convinced that they were going to call it off, and everyone was going to go into lockdown, because everyone was... Remember what it was like back then? Everyone was talking about lockdown. It's coming, like we're all going to get shut down. So I was convinced that I wasn't going to fight. And I think part of that was nerves. I think I was nervous about fighting.
So it would have been nice to have an outlet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
it would have been nice to have a reason not to fight.
Kind of.
Because of the nerves.
Yeah, a little bit.
We're human, innit? So
yeah,
it's like, if you have an external reason why you can't do something, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault anymore.
But you know.
Yeah.
But you know.
And I've learned better how to deal with those nerves. I've been given some great advice with regards to them, and that's kind of helped me. But at that time, I didn't have any of that advice. This was my first time doing it. It was my first time fighting. Like, it was a great experience. I loved it. Every bit of it was great. I went furlough after that, right? So the day after, I'm furloughed now, and I have all this time. And the pro training sessions are still running at the gym, because they're pro athletes. Okay. It's not open to the public. It's all kept quite quiet because we're not supposed to be training. But we carried on training. Disclaimer, we didn't really carry on training. If anyone's watching, and they're going to prosecute us.
They can't prove it. Based on a podcast, they can't prove anything.
Yeah. So I carried on training and I kind of just committed myself to it. And then I did it every day, but I had this safety net because I was furloughed. So I didn't need to worry about how much money I was making. I could just train full time. And then it came time to go back to work. They were like, "Oh, come, we need you back."
This is about what, 6 months down the line, 8
I
months
think it
down
was
the line?
longer. I think it was longer.
About
The
a year?
university stayed closed for ages.
They did. There were whole academic years that were done
Yeah.
behind closed doors.
Right.
Well, they were done at home.
And because I worked in research, the only research labs that were opening back up were the ones doing COVID research. And I think at that point I was in a cancer research lab, so they weren't bringing us back basically anytime soon. But then they did start to bring us back, and this is when everything kind of came together, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this day in, day out with no reason or incentive other than the fact that I have time, right? Everyone says like, oh, if you give people money, what will they do? They'll do what they love, right? And I found myself on the mats training, seeing myself as this example, like the head of my household now. And I just felt like I have to make the transition. I kind of have to go all in on this thing.
Was your wife at this point, was she still a student or was she working?
She's graduated by this point.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
Because
graduated.
I'm trying
so she's
to, like,
working.
in my head, paint a picture. Did it help that your wife was bringing in money as well, or was she still a student? And you're saying
Yeah, no, she definitely helped.
she'd graduated, but at the time she wasn't working.
I can't remember when. I think she got a job just after COVID. I
Okay.
can't remember when it was.
So when you made the decision, essentially you were actually the main breadwinner. So it was a brave choice to go into fighting. That's what I'm trying to.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, it was a decision I felt like I had to make. I think she just started working when I decided to leave my job and fight full time.
Okay.
But it wasn't a permanent thing anyway. Like I did it for a bit, and then like there's not that much money about, especially as an amateur. When you're fighting as an amateur, because I was still an amateur at the time. When you're fighting as an amateur, you're not really making any money unless you can sell a lot of tickets. And even if you can sell a lot of tickets, it's still not a lot of money. So I needed to find another way to support my family. So I did that. I took on, shouldered my pack, took on more responsibilities, and I'm an electrician, so I do a lot of electrical work with my brother. Again, like the only reason I'm able to do this, I'm really, really fortunate. I have this great support network. I have a wife that's understanding of what I want to do. I have family members that are really understanding of what I want to do, and they're like massively supportive of me. The road to becoming a fighter is very like lonely, like poverty-stricken road. Like if you try and walk it alone, you're going to be struggling, and if you're trying to walk it and also have dependence, that task is all the more harder. But thankfully, I've got a big extended family, and they kind of support me, and everyone kind of helps out and help out with childcare and different stuff like that.
Are you second generation? So your parents born here as well?
My mum's English.
Oh, I never knew that. I never knew that.
Yeah. So my mum's English, born here as well.
Okay, cool.
And my dad was born in Libya.
Okay.
So he's moved to the UK. But like I say, when I made that transition to become a professional, when I decided I was going to be professional, I was already like the head of my own household. So I didn't really need to ask for permission as such.
In a way, you had more freedom, but you had more responsibility to bear.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I mean, like ultimately my parents have been telling me for a while, like, you shouldn't fight. I don't want you to fight anymore. They've been asking me to stop.
Safety, isn't it?
Yeah, they just don't understand it. It's a completely different thing to what they're used to. It's something that I really want to do, and it's something that I feel drawn towards, and I've tried to leave it before and it's kind of clung on to me. So it's just one of those things where they kind of just have to understand, and now that I'm kind of doing well with it, they're a bit more supportive and a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, because it makes sense to them now as they see your results.
Yeah, I'm probably a bit more used to it as well.
Yeah.
The more
How
times
many
they're
amateur
exposed.
fights did you have before you had your first professional fight?
I think I had 6 amateur fights.
6 amateur fights.
Yeah. I think it was
Over,
6.
because if you started fighting in COVID,
Yeah,
then over a very short period of time, you had 6 amateur fights.
probably 2 years.
Over a 2-year
I
period.
think it was maybe 1.5 to 2 years.
Is that a lot? To have 6 fights that weigh a lot on your body, a lot of training, a lot of weight cutting?
No, I wasn't cutting much weight.
You can't wait.
No, I wasn't cutting much weight. As an amateur, I would fight at lightweight, so I'd fight at 70 kilos, and
Okay.
I'd walk around at like 74 kilos.
Ah,
So I didn't really have to cut too much.
cool.
I was kind of really like, this is what I mean, like I changed as a professional when I became professional. As an amateur, I would kind of eat what I want, and even fight week, I'd be eating sweets and just not really taking my diet seriously at all. I'd always train hard,
Yeah.
but nutrition, sleep, stuff like that outside of training, I kind of didn't really have too much strictness with myself. But then when I went on to be a pro, that's when I kind of felt this change, and I was like, okay, from now I need to be a lot more rigid with
Should get
myself.
serious.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're obviously at top team. You're also surrounded by other pros.
Yeah.
That's motivating, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You see people doing
Really well.
everything that you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. There's a lad at your. His name begins with K, doesn't it? There's a lad at your gym, Manchester.
Top team, yeah.
Yeah. He beat that Makwan, the Kurdish fighter.
Yeah. Lerone.
Yeah.
He beat
Low-key hit a
Americani.
bit deep, just a national thing. I was like, Kurdish UFC fighter from Sweden, but then beaten by a Manchester local, which kind of like, I don't know.
Easy
I don't know who you go with.
Well, you got Manchester on your chest, so I think.
Yeah. You like football, but with fighting, guess I'll be your fan now, bro.
Yeah.
No,
well,
literally,
yeah.
like, this is actually a brilliant story. I've noticed something coming out of Charlton High School because we didn't go to the best place on the planet, essentially. And I don't think most people came from necessarily the greatest backgrounds, but I've been preing a few people. I'm seeing a lot of success.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people come out and do well with themselves. We know Shervin's practically in Hollywood now.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
So a friend of ours from high school, he's in Tehran, the Apple TV series.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things he's done. I know a lot of people who've academically done well, like Awais, professional pharmacist.
Nice.
There's doctors in the squad. There's
Yeah.
lawyers. One guy who I haven't actually chatted to, but I know he's doing this. Do you remember Remis de Jong?
Yeah.
He's a coach at Manchester United.
Oh, no way.
He's actually a legit coach at Manchester United.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So there's a lot of success coming out of Toronto High School. And I'm not going to lie, I probably wouldn't have expected it.
No.
I'm not sure I would have expected myself to be a future architect. So, do you know what I mean? It's just, life comes quickly.
Definitely comes at you fast. And I don't think you can predict what you're going to end up doing.
We're talking 11 years on, bro.
Yeah.
You're 27 now, aren't you?
Yeah.
We left at 16.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
A lot's changed.
We could have so many stories. Imagine like you just got a random sample from Charlton High School and you just wanted to see where you were in 11 years. I'm trying to say that would be interesting. But going back onto your professional fighting, where do you see yourself in 5 years, for example? Where do you want to be ideally? And you can say champion.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'd like to progress. I'd like to progress. I'm not in any rush. Like you said, I'm 27, so I'm still coming
You're
into
young
my
for a
own.
fighter.
Right, I'm still coming into my own. I don't think I'd want to fight past my late 30s. I think if I got to 40, I would definitely have to hang it up.
Is that family or for you?
I just think once you get to a certain age, you do slow down naturally.
Okay.
And at the highest level, you have to be 100% there. You have to be like a millisecond faster. You have to have the reactions and the eyes to see things happen. And I've seen too many stories of people who become dependent on the well, right? They take water from the well and then the well starts to dry up and you see them coming back for more and more as they get older. I'd rather not see myself 40 years old taking a fight against someone who's younger, better shape, naturally,
Maybe
faster
a bit
reactions.
more hungry because they haven't had your success.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has the idea that they'll be the crafty old vet, right?
Yeah.
They'll be able to outsmart everyone.
I mean, we've seen Anderson Silva lose, so
yeah,
if
exactly.
you can see
Yeah.
the best of the best lose at an old age. But I guess does this essentially become your love and your drug though? Is there a certain rush that you get from fighting you don't get anywhere else?
Yes and no. On a day-to-day basis, yes. Training every day is something that I need to do.
You train 6 days a week?
Yeah. While on those 6 days, I'm probably training twice on 4 of them as well. And then I do like cardio, like as well as that. So like in terms of a schedule, my schedule is pretty tight. Like I try to do a lot, try to get a lot fit in. And like my body's built up a dependency on that activity. Like if I'm not doing that, I get a bit aggy, like I'm a bit uncomfortable. I maybe have a shorter temper. But when it comes to the fight itself, I kind of like to keep a bit more stoic. Like I don't like to be too, like if I was in there for like the rush of it, I feel like I would kind of lose myself a little bit. I prefer to be a bit more like measured when it comes to the actual fight itself.
What's your fighting philosophy?
I like the idea of being able to act out my training in like a flow state.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
It was George St. Pierre's coach
Yeah.
who
For
always,
us. Yeah.
who always enhances the idea of flow.
Flow state. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you fall into flow state while you're fighting?
You don't have a choice. If you're not in flow state at that point, if I'm not like 100% in the moment at that point, if I'm thinking about a second before or a second later, I'm not thinking about right now. And right now there's like a dynamic threat in front of me. So it almost is like a put a gun to your head kind of moment, like do or die now, what would you do? And then that kind of forces you into this state of flow, because if I'm not currently in the moment, I get punished for it. So I have to stay constantly aware of that present moment. And that's why the preparation is so important, because I can't be thinking about how to do stuff. I need to have it in my blood. It needs to be a part of me.
Okay.
That's why prepping and training is so important.
Does that make it easier for you to be in flow state while you're fighting?
It means that I'm not going to get caught out thinking about something.
Right.
Because if someone's thinking about something and I don't need to think about it, it's
You're
second
thinking
nature
you're
to
not
me.
doing. I guess.
Exactly. If you're thinking you're not doing. That's a great way of putting it. So I believe in flow state. In terms of like how to approach a fight, I believe you should always be working towards a finish. I don't think you should be reckless in how you approach it, but I'm not a huge fan of people that try and game the system. Like you have some people that maybe have like an approach where they've mastered like a specific part of it. It could be like they're really good at takedown defense and range management, or it could be that they're really good at closing the distance and taking someone down and holding them in position. And I just feel that, to me, that's game in the system. It's not really a true representation of what it is to be a mixed martial artist. Like, to be a mixed martial artist, I feel the opportunity is available for you to finish the fight. You should take it to wherever it is. Wherever I can gain an advantage, I need to go and work towards a finish from there, rather than this is what I'm really good at. I'm going to sit on my little pile and kind of hoard it.
Would you prepare differently for a different fight though?
Not yet.
Or essentially your philosophy is, this is bring the best out of me every time?
I think when I get to a certain level, I probably will do a bit more preparation for specific opponents. At this point, I don't feel like I'm the complete package yet. I feel like there's still skills that I need to build before I become a completely rounded fighter. So at this point, I would still kind of focus mostly on preparing for myself rather than focusing too much on what my opponent's doing.
Okay.
When I feel like I've kind of come full circle and I've covered all aspects and I'm pretty well versed, then I think I could say I can focus specifically on this thing. Or yeah.
Cool. So on July 3rd, right? That's your next fight. Where is it?
Abu Dhabi.
Ah, okay. You're traveling
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Who's the opponent?
He's a French guy. I've forgotten his name.
French or French-Algerian?
French-Algerian.
Cool. Because I was thinking it's an Arab card, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's going to be an Arab card again. I've watched one of his fights. He seems pretty game. He seems like he'll be there. He'll hang about. He'll be a good test for me, hopefully. He's 3-1, so he's got a bit more experience than me.
2 more fights than you.
Yeah, 2 more fights than me. Yeah.
Similar styles or?
Yeah, I'd say so. Not too different. He does a bit of grappling. He does a bit of striking. I do a bit of grappling. I do a bit of striking. I think I'm a bit tidier.
Okay.
So hopefully keep it tidy.
I saw one of the highlights to your fight. Didn't you end it in the first round?
Yes. Yeah,
30 seconds, right? Something like that.
Well, I think it was like 2 minutes in.
2 minutes in, but okay. So what's the thought at that point? Like, you've got this guy, you're 2 minutes into the round.
Yeah.
Where do you smell blood?
I smelt blood in my last fight against the fence. He was trying to take me down. I caught him with a knee to the stomach and he made a noise. Now, he's not really hidden it very well. So as soon as he made that noise, I kind of could tell that
he winded.
Yeah, he just made like a painful noise. Like he wasn't expecting to get kneed at that point. Then I took him down and I could feel that his grappling wasn't up to my level. I felt very comfortable controlling him. And I started to go to work with like some elbows, some little choppy shots. This is what I mean by being careful. If you watch my last fight, I was very, very careful. I wasn't going crazy trying to blow him out in the first second. But I still feel I was working towards finishing him.
I've noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, you do have an aggressive style.
Forward pressure, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas some people choose not to, but
stay on the outside.
you definitely have forward pressure, as you put it.
Yeah.
Why does that help you, though? Because not everyone does it, but you do. So why does that help you?
I don't mind grappling.
Okay.
I don't mind grappling. I think I don't mind grappling at all. And because I've got range, I can use it by putting it on someone.
What's your reach?
Long.
So that helps, right? I was gonna ask, how much does reach matter?
A fair bit. I think I'm very tall for the weight class because I'm over 6 feet. I'm like 6'1".
Okay.
And I've got quite a big ape index, so that means like my arms, my wingspan is longer than I am tall.
Than your actual height.
Yeah.
Right.
So my arms are even longer than I am tall, and I'm tall for the weight class.
And that gives you the advantage of reach.
That gives me a great reach
So
advantage.
even though you're in a sense, you're not, because you can keep people at a distance.
Yeah. So if I move forward in MMA, a lot of the sport is about like linear movement. So if I push forward, naturally it pushes someone backwards. Like they won't stay in my range. They'll kind of step back.
That'll risk them getting hit.
Yeah, like anything's on the line because the gloves are so small and there's such a variety of weapons. Anything's on the line at any opponent. So
with MMA gloves though, how much of a difference do they actually make? Because they are thin, but it's not bare knuckle.
No.
But that difference, what does that difference do for the safety of the fighters?
I think it stops you getting cut.
Stops getting cut.
I think it stops you getting your face cut. But it's all about optics, really. It definitely saves your hands. Definitely makes it so that your hands don't break. It stops you getting cut as quickly. If you're to get cut with like a bare knuckle, it'll kind of split your face open quite quickly.
Right.
But in terms of like safety in fighting, I don't know how much of it is actually about fighter safety and how much of it is about the optics. If something looks unsafe and dangerous, then it will be definitely outlawed very quickly. If something is unsafe and dangerous but doesn't look unsafe and dangerous, or the public don't get to see it, and it kind of doesn't get as much attention. So I would say like weight cutting, for example.
I think elbows. I'll come back to weight cutting, but I think elbows are very dangerous. Isn't that the hardest point in your body?
Elbows, yeah, elbows.
And you're allowed to elbow.
You're allowed to elbow, but people don't elbow as much as they punch.
Right.
If people elbow,
it's harder to elbow.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to land a good elbow. Like you say, an elbow is dangerous, but because you don't see it as often, like the optics of it aren't a problem. Also, when you talk about elbows, it brings up an interesting point when we come to optics as well. If I elbow across, that's allowed. If I elbow up, that's allowed. If I elbow like backwards, that's allowed. If I was to bring an elbow downwards onto someone, that's not allowed.
Is that more downward pressure? It makes sense and doesn't at the same time, but you're the professional.
I don't know how much it makes sense, because if I was to like knee someone in the face, that's going to be way more force than a downwards elbow.
Is it to protect you when you're doing a ground and pound?
I think it's just optics. I think it's just optics. I think people just see it and think, oh, that looks dangerous. We shouldn't let people do that. But I can like turn and wheel kick someone, like spin my full force heel into the jaw, and that's allowed.
Yeah, and that's something else that people don't realize. When you've got that much momentum when you're kicking, you're actually kicking more powerfully than if you're stood.
And a heel is not too different from an elbow.
Yeah, heels are tough.
A heel's not too different from an elbow.
I've never had a professional fight or an amateur fight, but especially during that young phase of my life, high school, college, I did a lot of fighting sports where you go against people, you spar, and I would say it humbles you very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's different. It's not a street fight.
No.
So not everything goes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end as quick.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, if you're not clocked in, you get hit very quickly.
Yeah.
So what you thought of yourself before entering that ring, it's a realization real quick.
Yeah. Everyone has this perspective as well. Everyone thinks that they'll do better.
Yeah.
In the reality, in the real situation, I wouldn't actually do that. In the real situation, I'd be like this, or maybe they've not come across it and they're like, oh, in a fight, I'd do this, and this. And
is it because fighting really flares up your ego?
Yeah, especially for men. Like, I feel like it's like an integral part of, it's something raw, like within us somewhere deep down.
It's an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, man. It's part of like defending yourself, defending your family, defending like
obviously like a Spartan, bro.
yeah. I mean, it's far away from that nowadays. Like day-to-day life now is nothing like that. But at one point, if you throw us back 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you know, you got to defend yourself by any means, right? Highwaymen will pull up on you.
Yeah, literally.
The money of your life. What are you going to give him? Right hand and a left hook.
Yeah. Either that or everything you've worked for your whole life.
Exactly.
And your family's livelihood.
Yeah.
Going back to things that are outlawed, I think I know the answer for this, but why can't you headbutt?
Headbutts. Again, optics, right?
Okay.
Optics. Why can't you headbutt? Because
I was going to say concussion, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, getting punched in the head's just as much concussion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably worse.
Like
If you can do a triangle choke,
yeah.
then I don't think a headbutt is as bad. But you tell me. Because
I don't wanna
triangle
get
chokes
headbutt.
look ruthless to me, bro. It's one thing.
Uncomfortable.
It's
Yeah.
one thing to get put to sleep. Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
been put to sleep at one point. Even in high school, when you're stupid
Yeah.
and you're just doing something with your friends, everyone's been put to sleep at some point.
Yeah.
But that certain chokes look very scary to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can
Well,
do them. Why can't you headbutt?
You can do like twisters, which are like cranks that put like all this pressure across your spine.
You can practically break someone's leg.
Yeah, you can snap the spine. Like if I put someone in a twister, like I'm like contorting their bottom half against their top half
Yeah.
and like twisting them in opposition to each other. So like again, I think it's all about like how stuff looks. If I was to watch someone fight and they were to like headbutt someone, that seems like it's a really barbaric thing. But if I was to like heel hook someone, I'd rip their knee apart and leave them potentially changed for life.
Yeah, because I've gotten like I'm a bit of a UFC fan, so right now I'm kind of seeing certain finishes in my head,
Yeah.
and there are some ruthless ones. Recently, we've seen some kicks, some devastating kicks.
Yeah.
Tony
yeah,
Ferguson
yeah.
got hit with one,
Yeah.
and there was another guy a few months ago, and it's one of them where the toes are bent backwards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's you explain that to the audience.
Yeah, it's
How
kinda
would
like
that work?
It's like a snap kick, right? So like you bring your knee up above your hip and then you just flick out the end of your foot, right? But as you do that, you want to make like you want to get like the pad of your foot. I guess it'd be called.
So
the pad.
essentially, your foot, but this part here.
Yeah, like the underside of the toe knuckles.
Okay.
And then you want to try and catch someone on the chin with that.
Shit, imagine.
It's a lot of force, right? Like a foot's quite heavy, and you don't need to move it very
And it's coming very
like linear, like poof,
Yeah.
straight there. Yeah.
That'd be mad.
Yeah.
You're gonna
it's-
hit with
it's
that?
not. Have I been hit with it? No, thankfully not.
Are you gonna hit anyone with it?
Oh, hopefully, we'll see. I'm hoping to get as many like dramatic finishes as possible and not be finished ever.
No, hopefully. So, you've had a knockout and a submission.
2 TKO victories.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Because I saw your highlights. You definitely put someone in the submission one time.
This is in my amateur career.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So my last amateur fight, I choked him out.
He was okay.
He was okay after.
He was okay.
Yeah, he tapped out before he went out.
That's fine, man. After you go to UAE again, any fights in the homeland? Any fights here?
I would like to fight
People
in the
would
UK.
like to see you.
Yeah, I would like to fight in the UK. The problem with fighting in the UK is that it doesn't pay as well as fighting abroad.
Right.
And
Is
taking all
that
the time
like
out.
all the countries or the Middle Eastern
Just the
countries?
Middle East. Just the
Right.
Middle East. They pay well. Where I go, they pay well, thankfully. Alhamdulillah. The idea of fighting in the UK is something I really want to do, but it's not something I think I could dedicate a full camp to. Like I couldn't dedicate like a full 6 to 8 weeks to it
Why?
because I need to be working.
Oh, okay.
I need to be working and making money. And when I get paid better, I can take more time off work.
Does that depend on your wins, for example? If
The more you win, the more you
yeah.
get paid, yeah. But even still, fighting in certain promotions, they just pay better than others.
And they approach you or you approach them?
I think it's a bit of both. Do
you have a manager or?
Yeah. So I'm managed by my my coach has got like a managing organization,
Okay.
and they are involved in managing me. It's called Vida. So I'm managed by Vida. They organize all my fights.
How much of fighting is mental?
A great deal of it. It depends what you want to class as mental.
Psychological, fear, all these type of things. The way you see yourself before a fight. Like certain fighters, let's say McGregor, for example, it
Yeah.
looks like he needs his ego.
Yeah,
And it
Yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
since he lost the flair of his ego, he's kind of lost himself. a
fallen
bit.
off. Yeah, could say that he's a bit like.
I think Muhammad Ali needed an ego.
Mm,
When you look at the way he'd promote his fights.
a lot of persona involved,
Yeah.
right? I'm not a huge fan of bringing too much of that in. Like I said, I prefer to be a bit more stoic with it. But then, like making sure you get up out of bed early is a mental battle. Making sure you go to the gym and
When you
train
say
hard.
early, what time do you go?
Oh well, I don't have to get up too early in the morning, but I have in the past got up like before the kids wake up and like gone and trained and then came home and deal with. At the moment, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna lie to anyone and pretend that I'm training loads and loads. But at one point, I was getting up extra early so I could get some extra training in. Now, thankfully, my schedule's a bit more flexible. But getting out of bed and getting myself ready and then dropping the kids off and then taking myself to the gym. These are all like little mental battles, step by step, making sure I'm in the right mindset on the way there, making sure I've prioritized what I need to prioritize. So the little battles, the little mental battles, like what am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to have after I've trained? Am I going to go to Aldi and buy jelly beans? Am I going to go to Aldi and buy fruit and vegetables?
Right.
Like these little mental battles make up a great deal of it. In terms of like actually like applying like a psychological warfare to the actual fight is not something I like to do. I know it's something that a lot of people do, but I prefer to just kind of let my actions do the talking.
So if you're promoting, you wouldn't
I'd do a
really
terrible
be
job.
going.
I would do a rubbish job of promotion. I
You'd
would.
be a bit like Habib.
Yeah, or like George, right? Like
Yeah.
like I wouldn't do a great job of talking trash. I'm not great at it. Like it's
You
not.
used to be. You used to be.
Maybe.
Nah, I mean, you just got calmer.
Maybe I used to be a bit better than I am now.
And it's cool though. But you know, you touched on your diet.
Yeah.
So how does your diet compare to mine, for example? Let's just say an average diet in comparison to a professional fighter's diet.
Well, I could compare my diet to my diet
What it used
previously,
to be.
right?
Okay,
Yeah, that's like a fair assumption. So for me, I love sugar. I love sweets. I love junk food. I used to eat takeout all the time. Naturally, I've always been really skinny. Like I used to be even skinnier. If anything, I've only like put on weight as I've gotten older. But that wasn't from poor eating. Like naturally, whatever it is, my body doesn't like to hold weight.
Does that make you? That means you have a fast metabolism. Is that
I
what it
guess
is?
so. I guess so. I've never had it measured,
Okay.
so I can't guarantee whether it's fast or slow
Yeah.
or whatever it is. But I ate crap and I never got fat. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like that, to be honest.
yeah. There's quite a few people. I think as you get older, that kind of catches up.
Yeah, it does. A lot of things catch up when you're older, especially past 30.
But for me, I had to change what I was eating because of how it made me feel more than anything else. Like eating healthy makes you feel better and makes you train better. And when you eat crap the night before and you train in the morning,
Or even in the morning, yeah.
especially in the morning,
Slows you down, doesn't it? Is it all the gluten? Is
100%.
it the food's
I guess
naturally
it's like
heavier?
sugars and stuff like that. You kind of have like an insulin spike and then you crash. And like if I have cereal for breakfast, which has got a lot of sugar in it, by 11 o'clock, I need a nap. Like I feel ready to go to sleep.
Or caffeine to prevent you from napping, which then doesn't help.
Yeah. So I guess just cutting out all that sugar. I kind of played around a lot. Like I've tried I was vegan for like a year. Tried like being keto. I've tried all sorts of different stuff with
what's
diet.
keto?
Keto is like high fat, high protein, low carb, or like next to no carb.
So what's a regular dinner for you if you're keto?
Like a steak.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's
Steaks
pretty good.
regularly, that's nice.
Steak's nice. Yeah. Steak's nice.
And then
Bit
vegan,
expensive.
what would your dish be if you were vegan?
If I was vegan, I'd try and have like much more carbs. So this is what I mean. Like you go from one end of the spectrum all the way to the other. So like I might have like
A lot of potatoes, maybe?
a lot of the time I'm eating what my wife's cooking. To be honest,
Right.
she cooks healthy food for me, thankfully. But it'd be like mjadara, which is like lentils and rice, which is like super carb heavy. Whereas when I was going keto, I kind of cut out all the carbs. And when you're looking at just protein and fat, it's pretty much just meat products. Really, there's not very much. Like you can have like avocado, but how many times are you going to eat an avocado?
I don't even like avocado.
Yeah, you get bored quite quickly. I don't mind them; they're pretty good. But after I've had an avocado, I kind of don't want to look at one for another couple of days.
No, I feel that. But then it comes into the discipline. If you have a certain diet, you have to follow it.
Yeah.
You know, when you had this keto and this vegan diet, were you trying to... I know you were trying to experience what was best for you.
Yeah.
But did it also produce different results?
Yeah.
So how did it vary?
So when I was like... I think one of the main aspects of dieting that benefits people and why people love to diet and they feel good when they diet is because they eliminate a lot of the food that they regularly eat. So you got to think, like, I might have like a very mixed diet, but I'm also eating my sweets and drinking fizzy and having like all these things day to day. And then I think, oh, I'm going to go on a vegan diet. I feel amazing. But do I feel amazing because I'm on a vegan diet? Or do I feel amazing because I'm not eating sweets anymore? Because I'm more focused on what I'm eating. That's like an elimination diet, right? Like I'm eliminating certain things from my diet and seeing what effect they have. Just being more conscious about what you're eating, I feel, is the real step to take. Now, I wouldn't say that I'm vegan or I'm keto or I'm carnivore or I'm anything. I kind of eat what I feel like I need to eat depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm working harder, training harder, I'll eat more carbs. If I'm not training so hard, I'll kind of not eat as much because I don't really... like a day where I'm just sat around, I'm not going to be doing anything. So if I eat like I'm training, where I'm burning thousands of calories, I don't need to eat them 1,000 calories.
I understand. Does your weight matter also? You want to stay in, because going up to fight week, if you have to cut weight, you don't want to be cutting too much weight.
No, of course. So I'll diet to get my weight lower. I'll like try and change like a meal at a time. So I might change what I have for lunch. I'll have like a specific food that I know is going to be good for me, that I won't get bored of too quickly, and I'll just eat that exclusively. And I'll try and change a meal at a time to help bring my weight down. I tend to lose weight quite quickly. I'm not a hard gainer or a hard loser. Like my weight comes out quite easily, but it also like comes back on quite quickly as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
So I
makes
don't
sense.
find weight cuts too difficult.
Because weight cuts look brutal. They really do. Are they as bad as they look?
Yeah.
Because what are you wearing? It's like you're wearing a blanket.
Yeah.
What is it really?
So like before when we were talking about the dangers of the sport, right?
Yeah.
Like this is all about optics. Like you've only seen what it's like to weight cut because you maybe follow my page and look at exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or you might have seen like a clip.
Horrid.
You might have seen a clip here and there. But like in reality, that kind of stuff isn't very well publicized or televised. You just see people standing on a scale and then people going to fight.
Yeah.
Like way more dangerous than a downward elbow or a turning heel kick is the weight cut, right? Like it's, if you're not doing it properly, if you're not doing it carefully, you could be causing yourself some real harm. Like people get like on the doorsteps of like organ failure throughout it. Thankfully, I find it quite convenient at the moment. Like it's not too much of a stretch for me. I found it quite easy to do. The process, right? The process is to kind of flush your system out.
So all the liquids in your body, the water and stuff.
Yeah, so before you do that, you need to flush everything else out. So before you get rid of the water, you use water to flush everything out. So you'll be eating clean, and then you'll drink loads and loads of water, and that'll flush your system out. It'll flush, because every carbohydrate holds water to it. Okay. Carbohydrate attaches to water. So in order to flush my system out, I drink lots and lots of water to flush all these like carbohydrates and minerals out and kind of like empty yourself out. And then once you've emptied yourself out by drinking like 8-10 litres of water a day.
Which is a lot.
Loads and loads of water. I gave myself water poisoning.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like my vision went all fuzzy and that, and it was really uncomfortable.
How do you get water
I was getting really
poisoning?
confused. I drank like 12 litres. I was just going a bit overboard, like drinking loads of water.
Oh
And,
my God.
my vision went all fuzzy, and I started like forgetting what was going on, and it was really worrying.
Yeah,
At the time.
I've never heard of that up until now.
Yeah, looking back, I can laugh about it now, but at the time I was a bit concerned.
Do you remember what you were doing?
I was watching, what's that movie?
So thankfully you were at home, I guess.
I was watching Anastasia with my wife.
Okay.
She wanted to get me to watch this movie from her childhood.
The Rasputin one.
Yeah. I don't know if is it a Disney movie?
I think it's Disney.
Is it Disney?
Yeah, but Disney took it off for political reasons during this Ukraine and Russia thing.
Have they?
But I managed to watch it for the first time a few months ago before the situation.
Probably the same time as me. It was end of February that I watched it for the
Probably
first time.
the same time, yeah.
Yeah, before I flew out. It was like the day before I was going to fly out, or 2 days before I was going to fly out. So yeah, so you drink loads of water. You don't give yourself water poisoning, hopefully.
Okay. I honestly did not know that was a real thing. I'm going to Google it. Go for it. Carry on, explain to everybody what you do.
And then after you've filled yourself up with water, then you need to dry yourself out. So
How do
like
you do that?
on the day of the weigh-in, I'll wake up like dead early. I can't sleep because I'm thinking about weighing in. So like chances are I'll be up at 4 a.m. anyway. And then once I'm up at 4 a.m., I start to make myself sweat. So there's a couple of different ways you can do that. You can jog with like loads of clothes on. You can sit in a sauna, which is my preferred method. Or you can sit in like a hot bath.
Hot bath, sauna, or running while wearing.
Or skipping or doing activity whilst wearing loads of clothes. And then in order to make sure that you don't exert yourself too much, because obviously you're trying to deplete yourself, in order to not exert yourself too much and take too much out of your tank, you might spend like 10 minutes in a sauna or 10 minutes running or 10 minutes in the hot bath, 15 maybe. Then you'll go under towels. So they'll put a blanket over you. So they'll put loads of towels over you and then a blanket over you, and then you just sit there like a little prune.
That's the worst part. Thinking about it,
that
that must be the worst part. And your internal body temperature must rise.
Well, that's the idea of the towels, to keep it hot, to keep you hot. So you're not trying too hard. You're keeping that heat. Because if I'm sat in a sauna, I've got like loads of heat beaming at me. It's quite hard to deal with, right? If I get out of the sauna, I'm going to start cooling down, right? It's not as hard as being in the sauna.
Also, being in the sauna is harder, you think?
Yeah, being in the sauna is tough. Like, I don't think you could stay in the sauna for like. I've done like 45 minutes.
Wow.
But like that was like me at the end of my tether. Like I was almost.
Yeah.
If you
and
do
is
that,
it alone or would someone be in there with you?
Yeah,
kind of.
I've got my coach with me helping me out. But I'll do 10 minutes in the sauna, and then I'll come out and I'll sit under the sauna.
So they're indirectly weight cutting as well.
They don't get in this. Oh well, my coach didn't get in the sauna.
Oh, they don't get in the sauna.
No. He's just with me, making sure I don't fall over.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's okay.
It looks it. Maybe I'll do it one day for no reason.
Yeah, I found it fairly easy last time. Anyway, I found it fairly easy.
Is that because you didn't have much to cut?
No, I had a fair bit to cut.
Okay.
We just approached it very. My coach has got a lot of experience. Both my coaches have got a lot of experience, so they kind of will give out. Like we've got teammates that have been to the UFC. We've got teammates that fight on Bellator, so they're fighting like the highest level, and they're getting access to certain things. And then they all just share what they have access to with us. So we get to learn what's the best rehydration methods, what's the best, and it's one of those things where it's because I come from quite a technical background. It's like just following a recipe. Day 1, do this. Day 2, do that. If I just follow it to the T, I don't need to think twice about it.
So how many hours and how many days are you weight cutting for?
Probably from now I would start. Well, I have started like dieting.
No, I mean like that extreme one. Sorry.
The extreme one.
Yeah.
I'm probably water loading, drinking water for like 8 days.
Okay.
And then I don't want to be dehydrated for too long, so I'll wait until the morning of the weigh-in.
Does that mess with your diet? If you're water loading because you're trying to get rid of certain things in your body, then that means your diet changes before the fight as well.
Yeah. You can't eat carbs.
You can't eat carbs.
You can't have salt.
Salt's in everything.
I know. You have to just make your own food and make it really boring and rubbish.
Is that like a bland rice?
So no rice. That's carbs.
No rice.
You can have like
I didn't listen to biology.
You can have like a little bit of rice, a little bit of chicken, or like fish.
Okay.
And
so no rice, no chips,
nothing.
Just chicken and lentils maybe.
No lentils, man.
Lentils?
Just really like this is what I mean. Like towards the last week, I pretty much eat the same meal.
Oh my god.
Again and again and again and again.
And then you wake up for how many hours when you're doing that intense one? If you're doing that intense one.
Probably like 3-4 hours. I'm cutting. It comes off me very quickly.
Okay.
Well, it has come off me very quickly. I don't know how the
Well,
next
you
one's
said
gonna
yourself earlier on, you've always found it hard to put weight on and easy to put weight
go.
off.
Yeah.
So maybe your
exactly.
natural biology helps.
Put weight back on quite quickly after this fight.
Okay.
I did put it on quite quickly. I was able to gain size a lot faster. I don't know if that's an effect of having the cut, but I ended up
Maybe
heavier.
your body
than
needed it more.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe I'm just filling out. Like I always forget that. Like I could still be just growing into my frame. Do you know what I mean?
Because you said you were over 6 foot. I don't remember you being that tall in high school.
I definitely grew after high school.
Right.
I started growing in like year 9 because I remember my mum told me I was the shortest in my year group. In year
Really?
9. Yeah.
I don't remember you being that short. I was short at one point.
Yeah. I remember mum telling me that I was very, very short in year 9. And then in year 9, I kind of caught up.
Okay.
And then I've just carried on.
So you were average and then in college you just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, that's an advantage to you when you're fighting.
Can be. Yeah, can be. If you use it. A lot of people don't use it correctly.
Yeah, I guess you got to be smart with it.
Yeah.
So final question on the intense cut, the being in the towels and the sauna.
Yeah.
So you got to plan that before your weighing.
Yeah.
In between that and your weighing.
Yeah.
Again, do you have to be disciplined in what you take in case you put on more weight? So if you've just tried to cut 4 kilograms.
Yeah.
The night before.
Yeah.
I assume you do this before the fight, and you've cut your weight the night before, and then you sleep, and then you have to weigh in the morning. Am I correct?
So the weigh-in day is the day before the fight, right? So I don't want to cut weight on Thursday, because then my body's going to be dehydrated for a number of hours.
Oh shit! Okay.
And that's what's negative. You don't want to be dehydrated.
Right.
That hits hard on your body. So the goal is to leave my weight cut as late as possible. So I'll do it, say I'm waiting in at Friday morning, 8 a.m. I'll start my cut at 4 a.m. I can't sleep anyway because I'm anxious about weighing in.
Yeah.
So I'll wake up that early and then I'll do the last of my cut then.
And then you have to, after your weight cut, you're free to eat whatever you want again before the fight.
No.
No.
I'm theoretically I am, but in practice, I follow a strict plan.
Okay.
A strict plan of what to have. So I have like rehydration drinks. We make up. It's like Hartman's solution. So it's like salt, lemon, honey, and water.
So I got a question for you, right? You fight at 70 kilograms.
66 now.
66. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you cut weight to 66 for the fight.
Yeah.
What's the most you could be potentially when you get in the ring?
So I weighed in at 66.
Because they're not going to weigh you again.
No. Yeah. I weighed myself again. I weighed in at 66. And for my last fight, I weighed in at 66. And then I weighed myself again at like 3 p.m. And I was 74.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But that's cheating. No, legit. Like, doesn't that... Because when you're, for those of you that are watching this or whatever, listening to this, have you ever noticed, and question for you as well, you see a fighter, they make weight, and you watch the weigh-in as a fan,
Yeah.
the next day they look bigger.
Yeah.
So to me, that's always been cheating.
If I looked the way I looked on weigh-in day, people would be worried.
But essentially...
My eyes are sunken in, like the
I don't
sides
mean
of my
that.
head
I mean you're framing your weight. That's what I'm trying to say.
Everything is just dried out.
Yeah.
Everything is just dried out. This is why when you think if someone's missed a pound of weight, say like they weigh it in pounds a lot, so it's like 145 is featherweight, which is 66 kilos. If you've weighed in like a half a pound over, everyone thinks, oh, it's only half a pound. But like if that half a pound was full of water, it would probably be 5 pounds. Do you know what I mean? Like you like that half a pound is half a pound of dried up muscle tissue.
No, I feel that.
Like in reality, it's not half a pound. It's way more than that. Like,
So, a serious question. Do you think it's cheating?
weight cutting.
Yeah, because you
Well, it's
cut...
within the rules. It's within the
but
rules.
if someone goes from 60 to 70 overnight,
Yeah.
then essentially, if someone who's naturally a 60 kilogram person,
Yeah.
they're not going to go from 60 to 70. They'll go 60 to 62.
They fight at 57.
So everyone cuts to make up.
Yeah.
Right,
Everyone
right.
cuts weight. Everyone cuts weight.
This
Yeah.
makes sense now.
It's not gaining an advantage because everybody does it. Some people do it better than others. But like, it's just how well you want to do it.
And that's why so many people can fight at so many different weight classes.
Yeah, you find people fight at multiple weight classes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like people go up weight classes and then they can't come back down
Why can't I come back down?
because it's hard to get the weight off again.
So you're naturally 70, 74?
Not anymore.
What you now?
I probably walk around like 77, 78 now.
Okay.
But on a bit of size.
Again, you want to put on the... you want to go up a weight division again. Why would
Okay.
it be hard to come back down?
No, I'm going to stay at my 66 now. But
Theoretically, I'm saying.
like, because your body might like staying at that heavier weight. I think sometimes with some people you see that their body will let them weight cut a few times and then they won't let them weight cut anymore. It'll kind of hold on a little bit better to the weight. It's one of those things where there's no real research on why people can or can't do it. In order to do the research, you'd have to put people through something that's not ethical.
Yeah.
So in terms of why it happens, there's no real clear answer. It's all just bro science, really. I'm not a huge fan of throwing around ideas on that because I don't know for sure what it is.
No, it's not easy, but it is something that people are curious about.
Yeah, 100%.
Because like I said, weigh-in,
I'm curious
pictures
about
at weigh-ins and pictures on the actual day of the fight, they're so different.
Yeah.
But if everyone's doing it, it's a level playing field.
Yeah, it's definitely available for everyone. And also there's loads of stuff online that you can, like the information is pretty readily available.
Yeah. But there's like, for us as casuals, we don't have an understanding like you do though.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you can learn much more by going through it or seeing other people go through it than I could by sitting down and reading 10 different books. Nothing compares to experience.
No, definitely.
Nothing
definitely.
compares to experience.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's interesting, man. The life of a fighter is much more difficult than people would think. Because it's not just
Yeah.
throwing fists and elbows, is it?
No, it's a lot more than that. It's very technical.
As you go on, do you see yourself maybe moving into something like the UFC? Is that something you'd want to do?
Eventually, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to. I'm in no rush to get anywhere fast. I'm happy to take my time. I see myself continually progressing. I feel very confident in myself and my skill set. I feel like I belong where I'm going to end up, and that is the top.
Are you just, inshallah,
Inshallah.
are you just stoic these days? No, I'm serious question. No, no.
No. I feel like being a stoic is quite limited. I feel like it works for fighting because fighting's like done in a vacuum. Like it's done
Yeah.
in a cage. There's an official there. It's separate from like reality. But like stoicism to help me figure out how to deal with like loss outside of fighting, how to deal with like grief. I feel like stoicism really falls short in like day-to-day life.
Okay, that's interesting.
Like the big things in life, stoicism is like the
You
answer
certainly
for.
weren't stoic in high school. But
No.
how many of us were? Like,
No.
we were mad, stupid kids,
Yeah.
just out there living our best lives.
100%.
You
But-
changed. We've all changed a lot since then, not just you.
Yeah, definitely.
So marriage,
Yeah.
professional fighter,
Mhm.
academia research.
Yeah. Well, I went there,
Yes.
tried it, left it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know what? That's a very brave decision.
Yeah.
A lot of people, whether it be academically or in their life, they stick around because there's that saying, isn't it? The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know.
Yeah, totally.
So
Definitely.
it's scary.
Definitely. Yeah. Grass is always greener on the other side.
Is it though?
It was for me.
It was for you. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it
actually.
was for me. Yeah, definitely.
But when you changed your grass, so to speak,
Yeah.
you didn't change your life. You changed an aspect of it. You went from working a general research job
Yeah.
to wanting to fight and then going back to the hands-on job that you do, which is electrician stuff.
Yeah.
But you didn't change your setting. You didn't change your life. You didn't leave the city.
No.
You know, do you know what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah.
So your grass was greener, but you really didn't. You didn't leave that much.
I guess I watered my own grass.
You watered your grass. See.
Yeah.
Just generally speaking, I know you said you're stoic in the ring,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work for outside of the ring. So what are you like outside the ring?
Day-to-day life.
Are you religious, by the way?
Yeah, I tried to follow Islam as close as I can. I went through like my development into an adult. Kind of everyone needs to like find their way, right?
When did you feel like you? Because it's different for everybody,
Yeah.
and your brain develops at different times. Maturity hits through different experiences. When did it hit for you? I'm sure it would have been past college, no?
Probably like I feel like having kids made me grow up. I feel like having kids made me grow up and
A
take things
responsibility.
seriously.
You had
Yeah.
your first kid at what age?
I was 22,
Cool. Okay.
23. So like not that young, but like fairly young at the same time.
Well, for this generation is young.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're generally speaking to norms. It's almost old to an extent.
Yeah. But that kind of, like I said, it made me kind of think more about myself, and I kind of had this thing where everyone needs to look for a way to live, right? You try and find a way to live, and everything that I found that I thought was beneficial, it sounded really familiar to me, and then I'd realized that this is a principle that already exists within the faith I've been brought up in. And for some reason, I never acknowledged that at the time.
What do you mean? Explain that to people who don't understand.
Giving gratitude,
Okay.
being grateful, is like something that you might find in a mindfulness book. So I'd read this mindfulness book and be like, oh, gratitude, that seems like a really like sound concept, but it feel like it's missing something. And then I'd think back and I'd be like, oh, giving gratefulness is a standard part of Islam. Like it's a standard part of practice. You say alhamdulillah, like something bad happens. I'm sure it's happened to you, something bad, and someone's been like, oh, say alhamdulillah, and you're like, why am I going to thank
It's almost
God?
contradictory.
Why am I going to thank God right now when I'm upset? And like that's what the root of giving gratitude is. But in a way, it's kind of more complete because you're not just giving gratitude to the creator of all things.
Yeah.
Who's better to give gratitude to?
You're being grateful even when it appears that there is nothing to be grateful for.
Yeah. And in practice, it works. That's why you find it in mindfulness. Yes, in practice, being grateful is good, but then who am I grateful towards if I don't have something to aim towards? Right? How can I get better at
I
aiming?
feel you.
So, and it just popped up with a few different things, and I just kind of made me realize like I've been given all the tools I need. I just need to start using these tools and practicing. And because I'm a very habitual person, if I don't do something routinely, I really struggle. And within the Islamic faith, everything is done on routine. Like you pray 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Ramadan comes every year. You have practices that you have to carry out every Friday. You have to go to Jummah. And like all these practices are things that, in terms of me running my life, if I run my life according to that, it runs so much smoother. Now, I'm not saying that there's not like a couple self-help books that'll give me a good routine. But again, for me, I'm a big picture thinker. Like, I like the idea of a self-help book, but ultimately, what's the ultimate purpose I'm serving.
Are you reading anything at the moment?
No.
Between kids, family.
Yeah.
No, I don't blame you. I'm just curious.
I wouldn't say I'm reading it. But I'm currently looking at a jiu-jitsu book.
Is that jiu-jitsu philosophy or practice?
Practice. Like a technical manual almost. Rubber guard. So it's like I'm reading the advanced rubber guard one. One of my training partners gave it to me. I'm finding that really interesting.
You also train people now.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you learn more from being trained or training people?
I think they can't be separated from the other. One can't be separated from the other.
Okay.
I think part of internalizing and understanding is like a teaching is a necessary. You see it in traditional martial arts as well. You'll see like in martial arts you have like a coach or like a sensei, and then you'll have like his students that are very good, and they assist in the teaching of the students that are new. Right, so a way for them to learn better what they're doing is to teach what little they know. And even if you only know one thing, if I taught you one simple thing and then you went and taught it to someone else, you've internalized that and processed that information however many times you've taught it again.
Applying your knowledge to understanding.
Yeah. Also, in order for you to feel comfortable teaching something, you have to have good mastery of it. You have to have good understanding of it. So I would never go and teach something that I've not learned fully myself and can apply at a good level. And as a result of that allows me to really practice more consciously.
Okay.
And it's also just another way to be involved in the sport, get paid for it.
Yeah. These are outside of your training hours. You train people in the evening, don't you?
Yeah. Well, not just in the evenings. I coach on a Monday evening, I coach on a Tuesday evening, but I also do like private coaching during the day.
Why not one-to-one? So I don't know if they're better or group settings. I mean, you know better than me. The funny thing is, right? I mean, it's actually not funny. I don't want to say that. But I couldn't find the time. I wanted to come and train with you before doing the podcast because I thought that would give me a better understanding.
Yeah.
And honestly, for the life of me, I've been ridiculously busy. Yeah. I almost cancelled today because I have like a wedding to get to after this.
Nice.
And you're busy tomorrow. And
Yeah.
But no, I look forward to that actually. Where is Top Team again, Ashton?
You should come down. I don't coach as much at Top Team anymore. I coach now in Stretford.
Oh, that's more local actually.
Yeah, so a couple of us that train at Top Team come together and we coach at this gym in Stretford Mall. It's just opened up. It's inside the mall. It's like part of like a community initiative. And I'm there Monday nights at 6. And I'll coach there Monday nights. But I'm also there like a couple of times throughout the week. I try and get in Wednesday evenings. I'm always there Saturday morning. I run a toddlers and parents class.
that must be interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I won't teach kids on their own. I teach one kids class on a Tuesday, but they're not my favourite.
Have you ever had a toddler parent session yourself?
Yeah, well, obviously I bring my kids with me.
I know, but I mean when you as the student with you and your kid.
So I took them to Top Team and we used to do them at Top Team.
Okay.
And I want to do them again at this gym. I feel like it's a really nice setting for them. Like the mats, it's the perfect environment for kids. Like there's foam walls and mats on the floor. Like they can throw themselves around and do everything. They can't really hurt themselves. And it's incredible to see how quickly, like my little kids know how to do like double leg takedowns.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they know how to do like forward rolls and they do like push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. And
that looks adorable.
Yeah.
Should have done little Instagram accounts.
Yeah, and they do like a bit of boxing, some kicking. They know how to sprawl. Just great for coordination. It's just a nice activity to do with your child.
And before we finish up, we're heading towards the end of our studio time. Tell everybody how they can find you.
So I'm on Instagram, ibra.afh.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to come train with me, I coach at Octagon MMA, Octagon Fight Academy.
Stretford, Manchester.
Stretford Mall. Yeah.
Mall,
Stretford Mall, next to the Pure Gym. You know the Pure Gym?
Yeah.
It's like 50 metres to the left. There's a loading bay straight in through there. Again, if you wanted to come train, you can always shoot me a DM or something.
When I put the clips up or everything, I will attach your name and your actor and everything like that.
Spot on. That's
and where can they find your fight? If you're fighting in July 3rd.
Yeah, so I'm going to be fighting on UAE Warriors on July 3rd. It's on Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass. So there's an app called UFC Fight Pass. If you download that app, you can stream my fight. It'll be on July 3rd, probably like early afternoon, maybe late
Yeah, because
afternoon.
Middle Eastern times, they're a few hours ahead.
Yeah, a couple hours ahead. So it'll probably be like around like 5, 6 o'clock, something like that.
By the way, outdoor or indoor?
Indoors.
Does the temperature affect you?
No,
It's naturally warmer there, isn't it?
I don't mind it being warm.
Okay.
Normally when I train, I'll have like hoodies and stuff on, so that I get a good sweat on because I don't want to get injured. I find if I'm not warm,
Loosen
I'll
up your
worry.
joints and stuff.
Yeah, man, I worry about getting injured. It might just be a psychological thing, but I prefer to be like really sweating before I take my jumper off.
I don't know, from experience, I find that people who are injury prone are injury prone in
Yeah.
every way.
Yeah,
There's nothing
yeah,
to do with
yeah.
that.
Putting the shoes on,
Yeah,
do the back.
But cool. Thank you for coming on, Ibrahim.
Nice one for having us
I
on.
appreciate it. I look forward to having you on.
Yeah.
I will try to release this podcast before your next fight,
Okay, sound.
and that'll probably help you get some promotion as well.
Nice
All right?
one. Nice.
Take care, everybody. See you
ya.
around.
Nice one.